Maya's hand froze over the order pad when she heard it. Pineapple. The woman's voice through the phone barely qualified as a whisper. Please, pineapple on the marinara. 6th Friday in a row. Same terrified voice. Same impossible order that made no culinary sense. But tonight, the pickup guy was different. Different face, different car, same cold eyes. Is when Maya asked if the woman was okay. What the 19-year-old waitress figured out, while counting tips in the freezer, would bring 98 combat veterans roaring into her Oregon coastal town. And it would prove that the most powerless person in the room can hold the key to saving someone's entire world. Because that whispered word wasn't about food. It was a code that meant one thing. Help me before he kills me. Subscribe and stay with me until the end. Because what Maya heard in that single word would expose a truth her town had buried for years. Comment below what city you're watching from, so I can see how far the story reaches. Maya Chen stood at table 7, order pad in hand, staring at the same woman's handwriting she'd seen for 6 consecutive Friday nights. The request looked innocent enough written down. Marinara pasta. Extra garlic, pineapple. But innocent didn't whisper. Innocent didn't sound like someone choking on fear. You okay, Maya? She turned. Her co-worker Raymond was carrying a tray of dirty dishes, his forehead creased with concern. They'd worked together at Bella Vista for 2 years. He knew her tells. Table 7 just called in another pickup order. So it's the 6th Friday in a row. Same voice, same order. But the guy who shows up to get it different every single time. Raymond set the tray down. Maybe she's got a lot of friends picking up for her. 6 different friends who all drive different cars and never smile and always pay cash. Maya's voice came out sharper than she meant. Raymond, I'm not stupid. I didn't say you were. Then why does everyone keep acting like I'm seeing things that aren't there? The kitchen bell rang. Another order up. Raymond grabbed his tray and paused. Because maybe you are, Maya. Maybe you've been working doubles to avoid going home, and your brain is making patterns where there aren't any. He walked away before she could respond. Maya looked down at the order slip in her hand. Marinara pasta. Extra garlic, pineapple. She'd Googled it 4 days ago. No restaurant in America put pineapple on marinara pasta. It wasn't a thing. It couldn't be a thing. Which meant it was code. The front door chimed. A man walked in. Mid-40s, expensive suit, expensive watch, smile that didn't reach his eyes. He approached the counter where Mia stood. Pick up for Whitmore, he said. Mia's stomach dropped. Different man. Same last name on the credit card receipt every time. She pulled the order from the warming shelf, hands steady, even though her pulse hammered in her ears. That'll be $1,850. He handed her a 20. Keep it, sir. I need to ask you something. His smile tightened. I'm in a hurry. The woman who calls in these orders, is she okay? The temperature in the room shifted. The man's expression went from mildly annoyed to something colder, something that made Maya's survival instinct scream. He leaned forward, voice dropping low. My fiancée is fine. She has social anxiety. She doesn't like crowds. I pick up her food because I love her. Is that a problem? No. Sir, you just what? Think you know something about my relationship based on a pasta order? He grabbed the bag. Maybe you should focus on your job, instead of making up drama. He was gone before Maya could respond. The door chimed again. Silence filled the space he'd left behind. Raymond appeared at her elbow. You see what I mean? You're creating problems. That wasn't her fiancé. How do you know? Because last week the guy said she was his sister. Week before that the guy said she was his assistant. They can't all be related to the same woman. Raymond. Her co-worker's face went pale. You wrote that down. I write everything down. Maya pulled out her phone, showed him the photos she'd been taking for 6 weeks. 6 different men, 6 different license plates, -1 different pickup times, but always Friday night, always the same order, always the same whispered voice on the phone that sounded like someone trying to scream without opening their mouth. Jesus, Maya. I went to the police 3 days ago. What did they say? They said I was overreacting. They said The Whitmore family is prominent in this town, and I was lucky they didn't charge me with harassment. Maya's voice cracked. Raymond, I know what I heard. That woman is in trouble. Even if she is, what are you going to do about it? You're a waitress. You can't even afford your own apartment. The truth of it hit like a slap. Maya lived in a studio above the laundromat. She worked 60 hours a week to cover rent and community college classes. She'd already dropped twice. Her car was held together with duct tape and hope. She had $17 in her checking account and a father she hadn't spoken to in 2 years, who'd probably laugh if she called asking for help. I don't know, Mia said quietly. But I can't do nothing. The walk-in freezer smelled like frozen bread and old vegetables. Maya sat on an overturned milk crate counting her tips for the night. $43. Not enough. Never enough. Her phone buzzed. Text from her roommate Jade. Rent's due Monday. You got your half. Maya typed back. Almost. That was a lie. She had $43 in her apron and $17 in the bank. Rent was $400. She needed $340 more by Monday. Or she was on the street again. Her phone buzzed again. Your dad called the apartment looking for you. Maya's fingers froze over the keyboard. Jack Chen, United States Marine Corps, retired. President of the Iron Patriots Motorcycle Club. Widower. Father of one daughter, who blamed him for her mother's death and hadn't returned his calls in 749 days. Not that she was counting. She didn't respond to Jade. Instead, she pulled up the photos of the 6 men again, stared at their faces, different ages, different builds, but something similar in their eyes. Something cold. Something that recognized her the moment she'd asked if the woman was okay. Like she'd seen something she wasn't supposed to see. Her phone rang. A known number. Maya almost didn't answer. Almost. But her hand moved on its own. Hello. Breathing. Ragged. Desperate. Breathing. Hello, Maya said again. Please. The word came out. Broken. Female. Young. Terrified. Please. I don't have much time. Maya's heart stopped. Who is this? You asked if I was okay at the restaurant. 6 Fridays. Oh my God. My name is Sophia Lauren. I'm being held at. The phone went dead. Not hung up. Cut off. Maya stared at her screen. The call had lasted 11 seconds. Not long enough to trace. Not long enough to record. Just long enough to confirm that everything she'd suspected was true. She ran out of the freezer, nearly colliding with Raymond. She called me. Maya gasped. The woman Sophia. She called me. What did she say? She said her name and that she's being held somewhere. And then the line cut. Roni gripped her shoulders. Maya, listen to me. You need to go to the police right now. I already told you they won't help. Derek Whitmore's mother is the mayor. The police chief plays golf with his father. They're not going to investigate one of their own based on my word. Then what are you going to do? Maya pulled out her phone again, scrolled through her contacts to a name she deleted and restored 100 times in the past 2 years. Jack Chen. Her thumb hovered over the call button. Something stupid, she said. The Iron Patriots clubhouse sat at the edge of town, past the tourist shops and the expensive beach houses, where the road turned to gravel and the trees grew thick enough to block out the street lights. Maya had been there exactly once for her mother's funeral reception and had sworn she'd never go back. She pulled her rusted Honda Civic into the dirt lot at 11:30 p.m. 8 motorcycles parked in a neat row. Lights spilled from the windows, music playing inside. Leonard Skinner, her father's favorite. Her mother had hated it. Maya sat in her car for minutes, her hand on the door handle, her courage failing every time she started to move. This was the man who'd been on a charity ride when her mother collapsed from the aneurysm. The man who'd arrived at the hospital 3 hours too late to say goodbye. The man who tried to hug Maya at the funeral, and she'd pushed him away so hard he'd stumbled. The clubhouse door opened. A man stepped out. Not her father. Someone else, tall, heavily tattooed, wearing a leather vest with patches that identified him as the club's sergeant at arms. He walked toward her car. Maya rolled down her window. You lost? He asked. His voice was gentler, than his appearance suggested. I'm looking for Jack Chen, who's asking. His daughter. The man's expression changed. Maya, you know me. Your dad talks about you every day. He stepped back. Come on, he's inside. Maya followed him into the clubhouse. It looked different than she remembered. Cleaner. The walls covered in photos of veterans, of charity rides, of community events. A banner over the bar read, Iron Patriots MC, protecting those who served, serving those who need protection. Her father stood at the pool table, mid-shot, stick in hand. He looked older than she remembered, more grey in his hair, new lines around his eyes. He glanced up as the sergeant at arms cleared his throat. Jack, you got a visitor. Her father turned. The pool cue clattered to the floor. 3 seconds. Neither of them moved. Then Jack crossed the room in 4 strides and stopped a feet away from his daughter. Hands hanging at his sides, like he didn't know what to do with him. Maya. Hi, Dad. You came. I need your help. Something in his face broke and reassembled itself. He nodded once. Okay. Whatever you need. I think a woman is being held against her will by Derek Whitmore, and the police won't investigate because his mother is the mayor, and I have photos and a call recording and 6 weeks of evidence, and I don't know what else to do. The words tumbled out of Maya in a rush. Her father listened without interrupting. When she finished, he gestured to a table in the corner. Show me everything. But 20 minutes later, Jack Chen stared at Mia's phone, his jaw tight. Around them, 8 other club members had gathered. The sergeant at arms, a man called Doc Martinez, who'd been introduced as former Army intelligence, a woman named Patricia, who'd served 3 tours in Iraq, others whose names Maya had already forgotten in the chaos of explaining. You recognize this pattern? Jack asked Doc. The former intelligence officer nodded. Rotation security, different handlers, different vehicles, same drop point, classic human trafficking protocol, or high-value prisoner transport. She's not a prisoner, Maya said. She's engaged to him. Patricia made a sound that wasn't quite a laugh. Sweetheart, some cages don't have bars. Jack set the phone down. You said the police won't help. I filed a report. They dismissed it. Said I was harassing a prominent family. Who'd you talk to? Officer Brendan Shaw. Shaw's godson is married to Derek Whitmore's cousin. The sergeant at arms said, he's not going to touch this. Jack stood. Then we do. Dad, I'm not asking you to do anything illegal. I'm not offering anything illegal. I'm offering to look into a situation that law enforcement has refused to investigate properly. That's called community service. He looked at Doc. Pull everything you can find on Derek Whitmore. Financial records, property holdings, previous addresses. I want to know where he's keeping her. Doc nodded and pulled out a laptop. Jack turned to Patricia. Call the Medford chapter. Call Salem. Call everyone within 2 hours who can ride on short notice. If we're doing this, we're doing it with enough witnesses that no one can claim we did anything wrong. How many you want? All of them. Patricia raised an eyebrow. That's 98 people, Jack. Then we get 98 people. Maya's throat tightened. Why would they come for someone they don't know? Her father looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Grief and pride, and something that looked like it hurt. Because that's what we do, Maya. We protect people. It's the only thing I've ever been good at. He paused. I wasn't there when your mother needed protection. I was off helping strangers when I should have been home helping her. I can't fix that. Can't take it back. But I can be here now for you. For this woman, Sophia. For anyone who needs someone to stand between them and the people who want to hurt them. Tears burned in Maya's eyes. She'd spent 2 years hating this man. 2 years blaming him. 2 years refusing to acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, he'd been doing what he'd always done. Trying to save everyone because he couldn't save the one person who mattered most. I'm sorry, she whispered. Don't be sorry, be ready. Because we're about to make a lot of noise and piss off a lot of powerful people. And your life is probably going to get harder before it gets easier. I don't care. Yes, you do. And you should. But you called anyway. You came here anyway. You chose the hard thing, Because it was the right thing. Jack picked up his leather vest from the back of a chair. You're more like your mother than you know. Doc Martinez looked up from his laptop. Found something. Derek Whitmore owns 4 properties in Cascade Bay. Primary residence, to rental properties, and a beach house on the cliffs registered under an LLC. Which one? Jack asked. The beach house. It was his grandmother's, left to him when she died 6 years ago. Property records show he's been paying utilities, but it's listed as vacant. No rental history. No tax claims for personal use. Patricia whistled. Perfect place to hide someone. Can we confirm she's there? Maya asked. Doc shook his head. Not without eyes on the property, but I can tell you this. Derek Whitmore has a life insurance policy on Sophia Lauren. $200,000. Taken out 3 months ago. Beneficiary is him. The room went silent. That's not a fiancé, the sergeant at arms said quietly. That's a predator. Jack pulled out his phone, started dialing. Yeah, Tank. It's Jack Chen. I need every brother you can spare in Cascade Bay by tomorrow morning. We've got a situation. Maya watched her father transform from broken widower to military commander in the space of a single phone call. Watched the other veterans in the room straighten, focus, become the soldiers they'd been before age and time, and war had sent them home. What do we do until tomorrow? Maya asked. You go home, Jack said. You sleep. You go to work like nothing's changed, because if Derek Whitmore's suspects were onto him, he'll move her. Or worse. What's worse? Her father's expression answered before his words did. The life insurance policy has a 2-week waiting period before payout. It clears in 4 days. Maya's blood turned to ice. 4 days. That's how long Sophia had left to live. Unless they could find her first. Maya didn't sleep. She tried. Lay in her studio apartment, staring at the water-stained ceiling, listening to the laundromat machines rumble through the floor, counting the hours until her shift started. 4 days, 96 hours, 5,760 minutes, until Derek Whitmore could cash in on Sophia Oron's death. Her phone buzzed at 5 a.m. Text from her father. Don't order the marinara tonight. We need to see if she tries a different code. Maya typed back. What if she doesn't call at all? The response came immediately. Then we move without confirmation. But we'd rather have her voice on record one more time. Evidence matters. Evidence. Maya rolled out of bed, pulled on her Bella Vista uniform, and tried to figure out how she was supposed to smile at customers and recite specials when a woman's life was counting down like a timer. She couldn't see. The restaurant opened at 11 o'clock. Maya arrived at 10:30 to find her manager, Kevin, already in his office, door closed, voice raised. She caught fragments through the thin walls. I don't care what the mayor says. If one of my employees witnessed something, I'm not going to silence her. Maya's stomach dropped. She pressed closer to the door. That's not a request, Kevin. That's a directive from City Hall. Maya Chen is creating problems for a respected family based on paranoid delusions. If she continues, we'll have to consider whether Bella Vista is operating in the community's best interests. The voice belonged to a woman, older, authoritative. Maya had heard it before at city council meetings, broadcast on local access television. Mayor Patricia Whitmore, Derek's mother. Kevin's response came out tight. Are you threatening to shut down my restaurant? I'm suggesting that employing someone who harasses prominent citizens might impact your business license renewal, but I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Silence. Then Kevin spoke again, quieter. I'll talk to her. See that you do. The office door opened. Maya barely had time to step back before Mayor Whitmore emerged. She was 60-some, expensive suit, hair sprayed into submission, eyes that calculated Maya's worth in half a second and found it lacking. Miss Chen. Not a greeting, an acknowledgement of an obstacle. Mayor Whitmore, I understand you've been experiencing some confusion about one of our local families. I want you to know we have excellent mental health resources available for young people struggling with stress and fantasy ideation. Maya's hands clenched. I'm not confused and I'm not fantasizing. No. Then explain why you've been photographing my son's vehicles. Why you've been making accusations to police about a woman you've never met. Why you're spreading rumors about a relationship you know nothing about. I know she's terrified. I know she whispers code words through phone orders. I know 6 different men pick up her food, and all of them have the same look in their eyes when I ask questions. Mayor Whitmore smiled. It didn't touch her eyes. My son has many friends who help his fiancée because she suffers from severe social anxiety. Your interpretation of their kindness as something sinister says more about you than them. Then let me talk to her. Let me hear from Sophia herself that she's fine. My future daughter-in-law doesn't owe you an explanation for her mental health condition. And frankly, Miss Chen, a waitress with a history of dropping out of college and estrangement from her family, isn't exactly a credible witness to anything. The words hit like a physical blow. Kevin appeared in his office doorway, face red. That's enough, Mayor. You need to leave. Of course. Patricia Whitmore adjusted her purse. I'm sure Miss Chen will make better choices going forward. For everyone's sake, she left. The door chimed. Maya stood frozen, her manager's hand on her shoulder. You okay? She just threatened me. I know. And she threatened me, too. But I've been running this restaurant for 22 years. And I've seen enough bad situations to know when someone's gut is right. Kevin squeezed her shoulder. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I'll handle the mayor. Kevin. She shut you down. Then I'll reopen somewhere else. My ex-wife already took everything in the divorce. What's a business license compared to a woman's life? Maya's throat tightened. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just be careful, because people like Patricia Whitmore don't make threats. They make examples. The lunch rush started at noon. Maya moved to her tables on autopilot, smiling when required, taking orders she immediately forgot, dropping off food she didn't remember picking up. Her phone stayed in her apron pocket, volume on high, waiting for a call that might not come. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, nothing. Raymond cornered her in the kitchen at 4:30. You look like hell. I feel worse. The mayor came by. You saw, everyone saw. She wasn't exactly subtle. He lowered his voice. Maya, I know I gave you a hard time yesterday, but I've been thinking about those orders, about the pattern, and then I waited tables at a diner in Portland before I moved here. We had a regular who came in every Thursday. Same order, same time. Her husband always picked it up. We thought it was cute. Raymond's expression darkened. Then one Thursday, she didn't call. Her husband came in anyway, ordered for her, paid cash, left. She was in the news the next day. Died from head trauma. Husband said she fell downstairs. Maya's chest constricted. Did you tell the police what you knew? I tried. They said there was no evidence of foul play. Husband was a deacon at his church, coached Little League. No one believed he could hurt anyone. Roni met her eyes. I never forgave myself for not pushing harder. So, whatever you need, I'm in. I need you to work Friday night. Cover for me if I have to leave. Done. 5 o'clock came. Then 6. The dinner shift ramped up. Maya's section filled with tourists and locals, date nights and family dinners, people living normal lives. While somewhere in this town, a woman counted down her final hours in captivity. Her phone buzzed at 6:47. Unknown number. Maya dropped a tray of water glasses running for the back door. Ice and glass exploded across the tile. She didn't stop, pushed outside into the alley, answered on the 4th ring. Hello, breathing, ragged, desperate. Then Sophia's voice, barely audible. Friday, 7:00 p.m. Pineapple. Please remember Pineapple. Sophia, where are you? Cliff House can't talk. He's coming. Please, Pineapple means help. Remember the line cut. Maya stood in the alley, her whole body shaking. Friday, 7:00 p.m. That was in 13 minutes. She dialed her father. He answered before the first ring finished. Talk to me. She just called. She's at the Cliff House. She said Friday, 7:00 p.m. Pineapple. Dad, that's now. That's 13 minutes from now. We're not ready. We need more time. She doesn't have more time, Silence. Then Jack's voice came back different, harder. Where are you? Work. Stay there. We're coming to you. If someone shows up for that pickup, you delay them. Drop the order. Remake it. Spill something. I don't care. Keep them in that building for as long as you can. What are you going to do? Whatever it takes. The call ended. Maya ran back inside. Raoni was cleaning up the broken glasses. Kevin was dealing with confused customers. She grabbed a new order pad, wrote down the marinara pasta request herself, even though no call had come through yet, and stationed herself at the front counter where she could see the door. 7 p.m. 7:05 7:08, the door chimed. A woman walked in, not one of the 6 men. A woman mid-20s, dark hair pulled back, eyes swollen like she'd been crying 4 hours. She approached the counter. Pick up for Lauren. Maya's pen clattered to the floor. What? Sophia Lauren. I called in an order. Marinara pasta. The woman's voice shook with pineapple. Who are you? I'm Elena, Sophia's sister. I just got a call from a number I didn't recognize. A man said if I wanted to see my sister alive, I needed to come pick up her order. He said if I brought police or told anyone, he'd know. Tears spilled down Eleanor's face. Please, I don't know what's happening. I filed a missing persons report 3 weeks ago, and the police closed it after they talked to her fiancé. They said she was fine, but she's not fine. She's been texting me things that don't make sense. Random numbers, strange words, and now this. Maya's mind raced. This was a trap. Had to be. Derek knew they were onto him. This was his move to isolate another target or to draw them out or two. Her phone buzzed. Text from Doc Martinez with an address. The Cliff House. And below it, thermal imaging shows the heat signatures inside. Adult male, adult female. Female signature shows restricted movement. This is real. Maya looked at Elena. At this woman who'd spent 3 weeks fighting to find her sister while everyone told her she was overreacting, who'd been dismissed and gaslit and threatened into silence, who was exactly where Maya had been 48 hours ago. Come with me. Maya grabbed Eleanor's arm, pulled her toward the kitchen. Raymond, I need your car keys. What? Why? Because mine will take 10 minutes to start, and we don't have 10 minutes. She turned to Kevin. I'm leaving. Fire me if you want. I'll understand. Kevin pulled out his own keys, tossed them to her. Take my truck. It's faster. Maya and Elena ran for the parking lot. Kevin's pickup was a decade old, but the engine turned over on the first try. Maya peeled out onto Highway 101, heading north toward the cliffs. Her phone rang. Jack, Maya, where are you? Heading to the Cliff House. Derek sent Sophia's sister to the restaurant as bait. I have her with me. Turn around right now. That's an order. She's his next target. Dad, if I leave her alone, he'll take her, too. And if you drive into a trap, he'll take both of you. Then you better get there first. She hung up. Elena gripped the door handle, her face white. What's happening? Who was that? My father. He's bringing help. What kind of help? The kind that rides motorcycles and doesn't care what the mayor thinks. They hit the coastal road at 70 miles per hour. The Cliff House sat 3 miles ahead, perched on the rocks where the land dropped into the Pacific. Derek's grandmother's place. The perfect location to make someone disappear. The road curved. Maya took the turns too fast. The truck's tires squealed. Behind them, a sound started. Low at first, distant, then growing. A rumble that made the rear-view mirror vibrate. Elena turned to look. Oh my God. Maya glanced back. Motorcycles. Dozens of them. Headlights cutting through the dusk like a wall of light. Her father leading the pack on a black Holly. Patricia and Doc flanking him. And behind them, an army of veterans in leather vests bearing the same patch. Iron Patriots. Not 98. Couldn't be. They'd had less than 24 hours to mobilize, but the line of bikes stretched back farther than Maya could see. 50, 60, more appearing around every curve. The Cliff House came into view. Single story, weathered siding, windows dark. One car in the driveway. Silver Mercedes, Derek's car. Maya pulled Kevin's truck to a stop 50 yards from the entrance. The motorcycles roared past, forming a perimeter around the property, engines cutting off in sequence. The sudden silence massive and expectant. Jack dismounted, strode to Maya's window. "You don't listen. I'm my father's daughter." His expression cracked, almost a smile, then serious again. "Stay in the truck, both of you. Doc's calling the state police. We're doing this by the book." The book didn't help Sophia for 3 weeks. The book is what keeps all of us out of jail when this is over. Jack looked at Elena. "You're the sister." Elena nodded, unable to speak. "She's inside." "I think so. The man who called said come to the restaurant. He knew about the pasta order, the pineapple. He knows everything." Patricia appeared at Jack's side. "Coast Guard says there's a boat launched from the property dock 20 minutes ago. Single passenger, male, heading south." The boat appeared around the cliff bend. Sleek white speedboat, Derek at the helm. He saw the crowd on his property and cut the engine. For 10 seconds, he just sat there, calculating. Then he revved the engine again. Not approaching the dock, turning, running. "He's bolting." One of the officers shouted. "Coast Guard, subject is fleeing north." Voss barked into her radio. "Intercept and detain." The radio crackled back. "Negative. Subject entered restricted waters. We cannot pursue without federal authorization." "How long for authorization?" 48 hours minimum, Voss swore. Derek's boat was already disappearing around the northern cliffs. Jack pulled out his phone, made a call. "Tank, this is Jack. I need the Port Angeles chapter at the northern inlet. Derek Whitmore is heading your way in a white speedboat. Don't engage. Just mark his position." He hung up, made another call. "Razor, it's Jack, subject heading east from your position. I need eyes only. Report back. 6 more calls. 6 more chapters contacted." Within 3 minutes, Jack had created a civilian tracking network covering 40 miles of coastline. Doc pulled up a map on his laptop, started marking positions as reports came in. "He's heading for the timber company dock. Private property. No police jurisdiction without a warrant." Voss made another call. "Judge Morrison, this is Lieutenant Voss. I need an emergency warrant for search and seizure at Cascade Timber Company dock." "Yes. I know it's 8 p.m. Yes. I know they're a major employer. I also know we have a fugitive attempted murderer heading there right now." She listened, her face darkened. "Understood, Your Honor." She hung up. Judge denied the warrant. Sighed. "We don't have enough evidence to justify trespassing on private corporate property." "That judge plays golf with Derek's father," Doc said quietly. "I've got photos from the country club." "Of course he does." Voss rubbed her face. "We're done. He's going to dock on private property, disappear into the timber company land, and be in Canada by morning." "No, he's not." Jack's voice had gone cold, flat. The voice Maya remembered from her childhood, when her father talked about things he'd done in Afghanistan. Things he never elaborated on, because those corporate property lines don't mean anything to people who never agreed to recognize them in the first place. Voss stared at him. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying the Coastal Sish tribe has a treaty from 1855 that grants them fishing and passage rights to every waterway in this county, including that timber company dock. And I'm saying I know exactly which tribe member to call who'd be very interested in exercising those treaty rights right now." He made the call, spoke quickly in a language Maya didn't recognize, hung up. 20 tribal members are launching from the reservation. ETA 15 minutes. They'll intercept him before he reaches the dock. "That's not legal," Voss said, but she didn't sound convinced. "It's more legal than a judge protecting a murderer, because he's friends with the murderer's family." Jack looked at his daughter. "You wanted to know what I've been doing for 2 years, while you wouldn't talk to me. This building alliances, creating networks, making sure when the system fails, we have other options." Maya's throat tightened. "I'm sorry I didn't see it. You saw what I showed you. A man who wasn't there when it mattered." "You weren't wrong." "Yes, I was." Before Jack could respond, Doc's laptop pinged. "Derek just made landfall. He's not at the dock. He beat the boat half a mile south. He's on foot. Where's that put him? Voss demanded. Doc pulled up the topography. Wildland Preserve State Park. No roads, no structures. He's got maybe 3 hours before dark. And then he's stuck out there until morning. Patricia whistled. That's 40 square miles of forest. We'll never find him tonight. Yes, we will. Jack was already texting because I've got thermal drones from the search and rescue volunteers tracking dogs from the canine unit I trained last year and about 200 hikers who use those trails every weekend and know every inch of that terrain. He looked at Voss. With your permission, Lieutenant. She hesitated, then nodded. Civilian assistance in locating a fugitive. I'll allow it, but when we find him, my officers make the arrest. Agreed. The next 2 hours moved in fragments. Maya rode with her father toward the state park. The Iron Patriots mobilized again. More chapters arriving. The number swelled past 98, past 120, past 150. Bikers from Washington, from California, from Idaho. Word had spread through the veteran network. A woman nearly killed. A man running. A system protecting money over justice. They came because that's what the patches on their vest meant. Protect those who served. Serve those who need protection. And right now, Sophia Laurent needed Derek Whitmore caught before he could hurt anyone else. The tribal fishing boats found Derek's abandoned speedboat at 9:15 p.m. The search and rescue drones picked up his heat signature at 9:43. He was 3 miles into the preserve, moving northeast, away from roads, away from help, deeper into wilderness he didn't know and couldn't navigate. The K9 teams tracked his scent to a creek, lost it, found it again on the far bank. Derek had tried to throw them off, failed. Dogs don't lie. Dogs don't protect the mayor's son. At 10:07. Derek made a mistake. He called his mother from his cell phone. The call lasted 14 seconds before Patricia Whitmore hung up on her son. But it was enough. Doc triangulated the signal. Derek was pinned in a ravine 2 miles from the nearest trail. Jack coordinated with state police. They moved in from 3 sides. Veterans formed a perimeter, not to capture, just to witness to make sure when this ended. There were enough cameras and testimonies that nobody could claim police brutality or illegal arrest or any of the other excuses powerful families used to protect their monsters. Maya stayed with the command post, listened to radio chatter, watched her father coordinate dozens of moving pieces like he'd been born to do it. Maybe he had been. Maybe this was what he'd been searching for since he came home from war. A mission that mattered. A fight he could win. The radio crackled. Subject located. He's got a gun. Maya's blood turned cold. Jack grabbed the radio. Repeat. Subject is armed. Affirmative. Handgun. He's cornered in the ravine, demanding to speak with his mother. Voss took the radio. This is Lieutenant Voss. Derek Whitmore, you are under arrest. Put down the weapon and surrender peacefully. Derek's voice came back through someone's radio mic. Young, scared, entitled. I want my mother. I want my lawyer. I'm not going to jail for this. For what, Derek? Voss asked. What did you do? Nothing. She's lying. Sophia's crazy. Everyone knows she's crazy. Sophia's in the hospital being treated for a broken leg, malnutrition, and injuries consistent with prolonged physical abuse. We have photos of the chain you used to restrain her. We have her testimony. We have evidence of 3 other women who dated you and ended up dead. Those were accidents. The admission hung in the air. Every radio went silent. Then Voss spoke again, her voice steady. Derek, you need medical help. You need a lawyer. You need a lot of things. But first, you need to put down the gun. No. If I surrender, my life is over. Your life isn't over. But if you hurt anyone else, including yourself, it will be. You don't understand. My mother said she'd fix this. She said she always fixes things. Your mother can't fix attempted murder. She can't fix kidnapping. She can't fix fraud. She's the mayor. And I'm a state police lieutenant. Her jurisdiction ends where mine begins. Derek laughed. It sounded wrong. Cracked. You think that matters? You think anyone's going to believe a waitress and a bunch of bikers over my family? Jack took the radio from Voss. Derek, this is Jack Chen. I'm the president of the Iron Patriots. I'm also Maya's father, and I need you to understand something. You're not leaving those woods tonight. We've got 167 people surrounding your position. We've got cameras recording everything. We've got testimony from your victim. We've got evidence from your property. You're done. You can't do this. You're just civilians. We're citizens. There's a difference, and we're exercising our right to witness justice being served. My mother will destroy all of you. Your mother just resigned. Effective immediately. Silence. Then Derek's voice came back smaller. Doc pulled up his laptop, showed the local news feed. Breaking news banner. Mayor Patricia Whitmore announces resignation amid son's arrest warrant. The reporter stood outside City Hall. Behind her, protesters held signs. Justice for Sophia. Believe survivors. No more cover dash-ups. The town knows, Derek, Jack said quietly. Everyone knows your mother can't protect you anymore, because protecting you means admitting she enabled everything you did. She chose her political career over her son. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. The radio stayed silent for 30 seconds. Then a gunshot echoed through the ravine. Maya screamed. Jack was already running. Veterans poured toward Derek's position. Voss shouted orders. Chaos erupted. Maya followed her father into the woods, branches tearing at her clothes, her lungs burning. She burst into the ravine to find Derek Whitmore on the ground, the gun 10 feet away, his hands over his face, crying. Not dead. Not hurt. He'd fired into the air. Surrender by gunshot. The most pathetic thing Maya had ever seen. State police moved in. Handcuffs, writes Reed. Derek didn't resist, didn't fight, just cried about how unfair it was, how he'd done everything right, how Sophia should have just cooperated, how this wasn't supposed to happen. Voss hauled him to his feet. Derek Whitmore, you're under arrest for attempted murder, kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, fraud, and conspiracy to commit murder. You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it. They let him away. Maya stood in the ravine, watching the man who'd nearly killed Sophia Loren get exactly what he deserved. Her father's arm settled around her shoulders. You did this, Jack said quietly. You saved her life. We did this. No, Maya, you started it. You saw something wrong and refused to look away. Everything else followed from that one choice. She leaned into her father's shoulder. I'm sorry it took so long to call you. I'm sorry I gave you reasons not to. They brought Derek to the state police station in chains. Literally. Lieutenant Voss wasn't taking chances. The booking process took 3 hours. Fingerprints, photographs, evidence logging, rights read 4 separate times, because Derek kept claiming he didn't understand them. His lawyer showed up at midnight. Jeffrey Brennan, expensive suit, silver hair, reputation for getting wealthy clients reduced sentences. He lasted 15 minutes in the interrogation room before walking out. Voss caught him in the hallway. Leaving so soon, counselor. My client is uncooperative. He keeps insisting his mother will make this disappear. Brennan's voice was tight. I don't represent delusional clients. Find him a public defender. His mother just resigned as mayor. He doesn't know that yet. Oh, he knows. He thinks she's playing strategy, stepping down temporarily to avoid conflict of interest, then swooping in to fix everything once the attention dies down. Brennan adjusted his briefcase. I've been practicing law for 32 years. I've represented some terrible people, but Derek Whitmore is the first client who genuinely doesn't understand he did anything wrong. He thinks keeping Sophia chained in a basement was reasonable relationship management. He left. Voss returned to the interrogation room, where Derek sat handcuffed to the table. She placed a folder in front of him, opened it. Inside were crime scene photos, the basement, the chain, Sophia's injuries. Derek looked away. I don't have to talk to you without my lawyer. You're right. You don't single quotes. Voss pulled out another folder. But I thought you might want to know. We executed a search warrant on your business office. Found some interesting files. Vanessa Price, your girlfriend who died 4 years ago. You had a life insurance policy on her. 2. $250,000 paid out 3 weeks after she fell from those cliffs. Derek's face went white. That was an accident, was it? Because we found emails between you and your business partner discussing how much you'd make if something happened to Vanessa. Dated 2 months before her death. Those emails were jokes. Were the emails about Sophia jokes, too? The ones where you calculated how much you'd net after funeral expenses? Voss leaned forward. Here's what I think happened, Derek. You found a system that worked. Date a woman. Isolate her from friends and family. Take out a life insurance policy. Make her death look accidental. Collect the money. Repeat. Vanessa was your proof of concept. Sophia was supposed to be your second payday. You can't prove any of that. I can prove you held Sophia captive for 3 weeks. I can prove you broke her leg. I can prove you were planning to kill her before the insurance waiting period ended. And once we exhume Vanessa's body, I can prove you killed her. 2. Derek's lawyer bravado crumbled. I want to make a deal. No deals. You're going to trial and you're going to lose. Maya watched through the one-way glass. Her father stood beside her. Jack had been quiet since they left the ravine. Processing, Maya recognized the look. He'd worn it after her mother's funeral. The expression of a man trying to hold himself together through sheer force of will. You okay? She asked. I keep thinking about Vanessa Price, about how she died 4 years ago and nobody questioned it, about how many women might still be alive if someone had paid attention back then. You can't save people retroactively, Dad. No, but I can make sure the ones who survive get justice. He turned to her. I need to tell you something about your mother. Maya's stomach clenched. Dad, we don't have to. Yes, we do. Because you blamed me for not being there. And you were right to blame me. But you don't know why I wasn't there. He pulled out his phone, showed her a text message thread from 2 years ago. The day her mother died. Messages between Jack and a woman named Carol Anderson. Carol, she's threatening to leave him again. He's getting worse. Jack, can you get her to a shelter? Carol, she won't go. Says she can handle it. Jack, I'm coming back early. Carol, don't. He'll know I called you. Just pray she makes it through the weekend. Maya stared at the messages. Who's Carol Anderson? Domestic violence counselor I'd been working with for 3 months. Trying to help a woman whose husband was beating her. Carol said if I came back to town early, the husband would figure out someone tipped me off. He'd kill his wife out of spite. So I stayed on that charity ride. I helped a stranger. And while I was helping her, your mother had an aneurysm and I wasn't there. Tears burned Maya's eyes. You were trying to save someone. I was trying to save everyone except the person who needed me most. That woman whose husband was beating her. She's alive. She got out. She rebuilt her life. But your mother is dead because I gambled that I had time. Jack's voice cracked. I see her in every victim we help. Keep thinking if I save enough people, maybe it'll balance out. Maybe I'll stop seeing your mother's face every time I close my eyes. Maya grabbed her father's hand. It wasn't your fault. Mom's aneurysm was genetic. Doctor said it could have happened any time, but it happened when I wasn't there. And you've spent 2 years punishing yourself by never not being there for anyone else. She squeezed his fingers. Dad, I forgive you. I forgave you a long time ago. I was just too angry to admit it. Jack pulled his daughter into a hug. They stood in the hallway outside interrogation, two broken people trying to figure out how to be whole again. While inside the room, Derek Whitmore finally started to understand his mother wasn't coming to save him. The arraignment happened at 8 a.m. Judge Patricia Morrison presiding. No relation to Lieutenant Voss's partner Morrison. Just unfortunate naming. The courtroom filled with spectators, veterans in leather vests, local reporters, Sophia supporters holding signs. Derek shuffled in wearing an orange jumpsuit, public defender at his side. The charges read like a horror story. Attempted murder, first-degree kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, aggravated assault, fraud. And that was just for Sophia. The Vanessa Price case would come later. The prosecutor stood. Your Honor, the state requests remand without bail. The defendant is a flight risk who attempted to flee by boat and had the resources to disappear permanently. Derek's public defender argued for bail. $2 million. House arrest. Ankle monitor. The judge listened to both sides and made her ruling. Bail denied. Defendant remanded to state custody, pending trial. Derek's face crumbled. He'd actually believed he'd walk out. The bailiffs led him away. Maya felt no satisfaction, just hollow relief that he couldn't hurt anyone else while wearing chains. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, microphones thrust toward anyone who'd talk. Lieutenant Voss gave a statement, professional, focused on the facts. Then a reporter asked a question that had been building since the arrest. What about Mayor Whitmore? Did she know what her son was doing? Voss's expression hardened. That's under investigation. But Doc Martinez had already found the answer. He cornered Jack and Maya in the parking lot. Laptop open. Patricia Whitmore knew everything. I pulled her email records. She's been communicating with Derek about Sophia for 2 months. Look at this. The email was dated 5 weeks before Sophia's kidnapping. Subject line: Re-Sophia problem. Derek, I've spoken with Judge Morrison. He agrees the restraining order filing was premature. He's convinced Miss Laurent to withdraw it. This gives you time to resolve the situation privately. Remember what I told you about documentation. If this goes public, we need plausible deniability. Love, Mom. Maya's hands shook. She helped him. She actively helped him keep Sophia trapped. It gets worse. Doc scrolled down. Email from 3 years ago. Subject: Vanessa. Son, I've spoken with the medical examiner. The autopsy is being ruled accidental. Cliff erosion. Loss of footing. No evidence of foul play. The insurance company has approved the payout. Be more careful next time. Some accidents are harder to explain than others. Jack grabbed the laptop. Read the email twice. She knew he killed Vanessa. She helped cover it up. And look at this last one, sent the day before we found Sophia. Doc pulled up another email. Derek, if the situation becomes untenable, the cliff location provides the same solution it did before. Make it look like an accident. I'll handle the rest. She told him to kill Sophia the same way he killed Vanessa. Maya's voice came out numb. His own mother told him to murder someone. Former mayor. Doc closed the laptop. Because she's about to be indicted as an accessory to attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. The arrest happened that afternoon. Federal agents this time, not local police. Patricia Whitmore was taken from her home in handcuffs, screaming about wrongful prosecution and political persecution. The charges included accessory after the fact to murder, conspiracy to commit murder, obstruction of justice, and abuse of power. Her bail was denied. To Doc, the news broke the story like a dam bursting. National coverage, cable news debates, think pieces about corruption and privilege and systems that protect powerful families while victims suffer in silence. Cascade Bay became infamous overnight. The tourist town where the mayor helped her son commit murder. But the story that resonated wasn't about Derek or Patricia. It was about the witnesses who'd seen Sophia in trouble and done nothing. They started coming forward on their own, confessing, seeking absolution. The first was Brad Anon, truck driver, 41 years old. He walked into the police station 3 days after Derek's arrest with a written statement. I saw her at a gas station 2 weeks ago. She was in the bathroom when I walked past. The door was cracked. I saw her washing blood off her hands. She looked at me, mouthed the word, "Help." I walked away. I told myself it wasn't my business. Brad's voice shook as he read his statement to the local news camera. I knew something was wrong. I chose not to see it. If she died, that would have been on me. I'm sorry isn't enough, but it's all I have. Next came Jennifer Walsh, hotel clerk, 28. Derek checked into our hotel with Sophia 6 days before she was taken. She had bruises on her arms. She tried to talk to me when he went to get ice, asked if I could call someone for her. I said I couldn't get involved in domestic disputes. I thought I was being professional. I was being complicit. Then Officer Brendan Shaw, the cop who dismissed Mo's initial report, he didn't confess publicly. He resigned. The resignation letter leaked. In it, Shaw admitted he'd been told by higher-ups to drop the Sophia Loren case, told that Derek Whitmore was off limits, told that investigating prominent families was career suicide. I became a police officer to protect people. The letter read. Instead, I protected a predator because it was easier than standing up to corruption. I don't deserve to wear this badge, Judge Morrison, the one who'd helped Patricia cover up the restraining order, recused himself from all active cases, and announced early retirement. No confession, no apology, just a quiet exit before the ethics investigation could finish. The pattern became clear. Dozens of people had seen Sophia in danger. Dozens had chosen comfort over action. And now they all had to live with what that choice nearly cost. Maya visited Sophia in the hospital on day 5. Elena had texted asking if Mia wanted to meet the woman whose life she'd saved. The woman herself had requested it. Maya brought flowers, felt stupid carrying them. What do you bring to someone who survived 3 weeks in captivity? Roses seemed inadequate. Sophia's room was on the 4th floor. Private security guard outside the door. Elena answered Maya's knock, hugged her like they were old friends. Maybe they were. Trauma bonded people faster than years of normal interaction. Sophia sat propped up in bed, her leg in a cast, face still bruised, but healing, hair washed and brushed. She looked fragile and fierce at the same time. When she saw Maya, she started crying. "I'm sorry," Sophia said. "I'm sorry. I just can't believe you're real." I'd convinced myself. I imagined someone finally listening. Maya set the flowers down, took Sophia's hand. I almost didn't listen. I almost talked myself out of it a dozen times. But you didn't. You wrote down the orders. You documented the cars. You called your father. You did everything right when everyone else did everything wrong. I called the police first. They didn't believe me. I know. Officer Shaw came by yesterday to apologize. I told him I didn't want his apology. I wanted him to do his job better next time. Sophia's grip tightened. The prosecutor says, I'll have to testify at Derek's trial. I'll have to sit in a room and tell strangers what he did to me. You don't have to do anything you're not ready for. Yes, I do. Because there are other Sophia out there right now. Other women trapped by men who think they own them. Other victims waiting for someone to notice. If I testify, maybe one more person will pay attention next time. She looked at Maya with red-rimmed eyes. I want to do what you did. I want to be the person who refuses to look away. Elena spoke from the corner. The prosecutor found 2 more women, previous girlfriends of Derek's who disappeared. One in Nevada 5 years ago. One in California 7 years ago. Both cases went cold. Now they're being reopened. He was doing this for 7 years. Maya's voice came out hollow. At least, maybe longer. The FBI is looking into his college years now, seeing if the pattern goes back further. Sophia closed her eyes. I keep thinking about those women. About how they're dead and I'm alive. Why did I survive when they didn't? Because a waitress paid attention. Elena said softly. Because your sister never stopped looking. Because 98 veterans showed up when the police wouldn't. That's why. It's not fair. No, it's not. But you're alive and that matters. Maya stayed for an hour. Listened to Sophia talk about the basement, about the fear, about the moment she'd realized Derek was actually going to kill her, about calling the restaurant one last time and praying someone would finally understand the pineapple code. Sophia said, I learned that in a self-defense class. Teacher said, if you're ever in danger and can't speak freely, add something impossible to your order. Pineapple on pizza, mustard in coffee, anything that signals wrong. I didn't think it would work. I thought nobody actually trained staff to recognize those signals. They don't, Maya admitted. I just thought it was weird. 6 weeks of weird. That's all it took. That's all it ever takes. One person who thinks weird means danger, instead of quirky. Asterisk. The trial started 6 weeks later. Derek Whitmore pleaded not guilty to all charges. His new defense attorney argued that Sophia had gone to the Cliff House voluntarily, that the injuries were from consensual rough intimacy, that the chain was a misunderstanding. The jury deliberated for 45 minutes, guilty on all counts. The Vanessa Price case went faster. Her body exhumed. New forensic analysis. Evidence of blunt force trauma inconsistent with a fall. Traces of Derek's DNA under her fingernails. He'd fought her before throwing her off the cliff. The jury for that trial took 30 minutes. Guilty of first-degree murder. Patricia Whitmore's trial took longer. 3 weeks of testimony, emails, recorded phone calls, witness statements from city employees she'd pressured to drop investigations. The defense argued she was a mother protecting her son, not a criminal conspirator. The jury didn't buy it. Guilty on 6 of 8 counts. Sentencing day arrived in late spring. Maya sat in the courtroom between her father and Elena. Sophia was there, too. First time out of her apartment in weeks. She'd insisted on attending. Needed to see it end. Judge Morrison's replacement, a woman named Judge Andrea Chen. No relation to Jack. Read Derek's sentence first. For the attempted murder and kidnapping of Sophia Loren, life imprisonment without possibility of parole. For the murder of Vanessa Price, life imprisonment without possibility of parole. Sentences to run consecutively. Additionally, 40 years for fraud, assault, and conspiracy. Derek Whitmore, you will spend the rest of your natural life in prison. Derek didn't react, just stared ahead, empty. The man who thought he could buy his way out of consequences, finally understanding that some things money couldn't fix. Patricia Whitmore received 25 years, eligible for parole, thus serving 85%. She'd be 91 years old if she survived that long. As they led her away, she looked at her son one last time. He looked away. Outside the courthouse, reporters asked Sophia how she felt. She stood at the microphone, Eleanor's hand in hers, and spoke clearly. I feel grateful. Grateful to Maya Chen for paying attention. Grateful to Jack Chen and the Iron Patriots for refusing to let the system bury me. Grateful to Eleanor for never giving up. But mostly, I feel angry. Angry that it took a waitress and 98 bikers to do what police and judges and city officials should have done the moment I asked for help. She paused. If you see something wrong, say something. Don't wait for someone else to be braver. Be the person who acts. Maya stood in the back of the crowd, her father's arm around her shoulders. She dropped out of college twice, worked minimum wage jobs, lived in a studio apartment above a laundromat. She had no power, no money, no influence, but she'd saved a life. And maybe that was enough. 2 years passed like water through fingers, fast and slow at the same time. Maya graduated from the criminal justice program at Oregon State with honors, top of her class. The FBI sent her an acceptance letter for their victim services training program 3 days after graduation. She started in 2 weeks. Jack stood in a studio apartment helping her pack. The same studio above the laundromat where she'd lived when all of this started. She'd saved enough for a real place now, but hadn't moved yet. Couldn't explain why. Maybe because this apartment represented the person she'd been. The waitress who almost didn't make the call. The daughter who blamed her father for things beyond his control. She needed to remember that version of herself, so she'd never forget how easy it is to look away. You nervous? Jack asked, taping up a box of textbooks, terrified. Good means you care. Maya's phone buzzed. Text from Sophia. Lunch today. I have news. She showed her father. He smiled. Tell her we'll both be there. They met Sophia at a cafe downtown, not Bella Vista. That restaurant had closed 6 months ago. Kevin had retired, sold the property, moved to Arizona to be near his daughter. The last time Maya talked to him, he'd said he didn't regret losing the business, said some things mattered more than profit margins. Sophia looked different than the broken woman in the hospital bed 2 years ago. Stronger, her hair longer, the bruises long faded. She'd gained back the weight, started running marathons, built a life that trauma hadn't been allowed to destroy. Elena sat beside her, The sisters had moved in together after Sophia got out of the hospital. Neither wanted to be alone. "So, what's the news?" Maya asked after they ordered. Sophia pulled out a folder, set it on the table. Inside were legal documents, incorporation papers. "I'm starting a foundation, Pineapple Project, training restaurant workers and retail staff to recognize distress codes, teaching self-defense classes, providing legal support for domestic violence survivors." Jack picked up the papers. "Read through them. This is incredible, Sophia. It's necessary. I've been consulting with the FBI. They estimate there are thousands of victims like me right now. Women trapped by partners who use money and power and family connections to keep them silent. But if we can train people to recognize the signs, to know what pineapple on marinara actually means, maybe we save some of them. How are you funding this?" Maya asked. "The life insurance policy Derek took out on me. $200,000. The insurance company tried to deny payout because of the fraud. I sued one. Figured I might as well use his money to destroy everything he built." Sophia's smile held no warmth. "Also, the book advance helped." "Book," Elena answered. "Sophia wrote a memoir, Chained, How I Survived My Fiancé's Murder Plan. It comes out next month. Already on pre-order bestseller lists." Maya's throat tightened. That must have been hard to write. Every word felt like ripping off a bandage. But people need to hear it. Need to understand that abuse doesn't always look like what they expect. Derek was charming, successful. His mother was the mayor. Nobody suspected. That's what made him so dangerous. And now everyone knows, Jack said quietly. "You took away his power. I took away his anonymity. Power's harder to destroy." Sophia pulled out another document. "Which brings me to the real reason I wanted to meet. I need help with something. There's a woman, Amanda Reeves. She's been coming to my support group for 3 months. Last week, she stopped showing up. I called her. She said everything's fine. But I heard something in her voice. Fear. The same fear I had when Derek told me to call the restaurant. Maya leaned forward. "Did you report it to who?" "The police. They'll do the same thing they did to me. Ask if she has visible injuries. Ask if she filed a restraining order. When she says no, they'll close the case. So, what do you want us to do? Find her. Just find her and make sure she's actually okay. Because if she's not, if she's in the same situation I was, I need to know before it's too late." Jack pulled out his phone. "What's her boyfriend's name?" "Marcus Shaw. Brendan Shaw's nephew." The name hit like cold water. Brendan Shaw, the police officer who dismissed Maya's original report about Sophia, who'd resigned in disgrace after admitting he'd been told to protect Derek, his nephew. "You think this is retaliation?" Maya asked. "I think Marcus Shaw learned from his uncle that you can get away with anything if you know the right people. And I think Amanda's been missing from group for 8 days. That's how long Derek kept Vanessa before he killed her." Jack was already texting, calling in the Iron Patriots. Patricia had retired from active writing, but still coordinated logistics. Doc ran background checks. Within an hour, they had Marcus Shaw's address, employment records, and a deeply troubling pattern. 3 previous girlfriends all filed restraining orders. All orders mysteriously dropped. All 3 women disappeared from social media and public life. They're dating him. "This is Derek Whitmore all over again," Doc said when he called Jack with the findings. Different name, same playbook. Maya and her father drove to Amanda Reeves' last known address, an apartment complex on the edge of town. The landlord said Amanda moved out 2 weeks ago. No forwarding address. Paid 3 months rent in cash to break her lease early. The landlord remembered she'd seemed nervous, said her boyfriend was with her. He did all the talking. They tried Amanda's workplace, a dental office where she'd worked as a hygienist for 6 years. The receptionist said Amanda called in sick 3 weeks ago. Never came back, never called again. They'd mailed her final paycheck. It was returned as undeliverable. "She's gone," Maya said, as they sat in Jack's truck outside the dental office. He isolated her completely. Not completely. She was going to Sophia's support group. That means part of her was still fighting. 3 weeks ago, Dad. She stopped fighting 3 weeks ago. Jack's jaw tightened. Then we find her before she stops breathing. They went back to the Iron Patriots clubhouse. The same room where Maya had first asked her father for help 2 years ago. The same veterans who'd mobilized for Sofia. They mobilized again. 167 bikers spreading across Cascade Bay and beyond, looking for a woman nobody had reported missing because she'd been isolated so thoroughly. Nobody noticed. She was gone. Patricia coordinated with women's shelters. Doc hacked into utility records. They found a property 40 miles outside town. Small house on 20 acres. Registered to a shell company owned by Marcus Shaw's father. The same father who'd helped Brendan Shaw's career for decades. Another family protecting another predator. The property had electricity usage consistent with occupancy. To people day and night. Someone was living there. Someone who never left. We need to be smart about this, Jack said, as they planned the approach. If we storm the property and we're wrong, we're facing criminal charges. If we're right and we spook him, he runs. Or worse. So, what do we do? Maya asked. We get invited in. Doc created a fake utility inspection notice. Jack dressed in coveralls and a hard hat. Maya posed as his assistant. They drove to the property at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. Knocked on the door. Marcus Shaw answered. Late 30s, clean cut. Looked like an accountant. That was always the thing about these men. They looked normal. Can I help you? Marcus asked. County utilities. We've got reports of a gas leak in the area. Need to check your lines. I didn't call about a gas leak. No, sir, but your neighbor did. We're checking every property within a half-mile to be safe. Marcus hesitated. Jack could see the calculation in his eyes. Refuse entry and seem suspicious. Allow entry and risk exposure. He chose wrong. Fine. Make it quick. They entered the house. It looked normal, clean, well maintained. No signs of struggle. Jack went to check the basement. Standard procedure for gas line inspections. Maya stayed upstairs, looking for anything that seemed off. She found it in the kitchen. A dead bolt on the outside of the pantry door. She tested the handle. Locked. Knocked softly. Amanda Reeves. A voice came from inside. Weak. Scared. Who are you? My name is Mayarchen. Sophia Lawrence sent me. She's worried about you. Please. He's going to kill me. Marcus appeared in the kitchen doorway. His expression changed. The normal guy mask slipping. Underneath was something cold and calculated. You need to leave now. We need to finish our inspection, Maya said. Her hand going to her phone. You're not utility workers. Marcus's voice went flat. Who sent you? Jack came up from the basement, positioned himself between Marcus and Maha. The same people who put Derek Whitmore in prison. The same people who saved Sophia Loren. The same people who are recording everything right now. Asterisk. Doc's voice came through Jack's hidden earpiece. Police dispatch called. Units en route. ETA 4 minutes. Marcus lunged for the pantry door. Jack caught him. 70 pounds heavier. 30 years of Marine combat training. It wasn't a fight. It was a restraint. Marcus went down hard. Jack held him there. Maya. Get her out. Maya kicked the pantry door once, twice. The frame splintered. Inside, Amanda Reeves sat on the floor, rope around her wrists, duct tape on her mouth, bruises on her arms and neck. She'd been there for 3 weeks. 3 weeks in a pantry, while Marcus Shaw went to work every day and came home every night. And nobody knew. Maya cut the ropes with her pocket knife. Removed the tape gently. You're safe. I promise you're safe. Amanda collapsed against her, sobbing. I tried to get away. I went to Sophia's group. Tried to get help. He found out. Said if I told anyone, he'd make it look like suicide. Said his family knew judges and lawyers. And I'd never win. You already won. You survived. Police arrived. State police this time, not local. Lieutenant Voss had retired. But her replacement, a woman named Captain Torres, had learned from Sophia's case. She didn't ask if Amanda wanted to press charges. She arrested Marcus Shaw on sight. Kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, assault. More charges would come. Marcus's father showed up at the police station 3 hours later, demanded his son's release, said this was a misunderstanding, said Amanda had gone to the house voluntarily. Captain Torres played him the recording of Amanda begging for help from inside a locked pantry. "Your son is going to prison," Torres said, "and if I find evidence you knew what he was doing, you're going there too." They found evidence. Emails between Marcus and his father discussing the Amanda problem. Text messages about keeping her quiet. Financial records showing Marcus's father had paid Amanda's landlord to lie about the move-out date. Another family, another conspiracy, another system of protection that crumbled when enough people cared enough to look. Maya visited Amanda in the hospital that night. Same floor where Sophia had recovered 2 years ago. Different room, same trauma. Amanda was awake talking to a victim's advocate. She saw Maya and her face crumpled. "Thank you. I don't know what else to say. Just thank you. You don't have to thank me. You went to Sophia's group. You were trying to save yourself. But I stopped going. I gave up. You didn't give up. You survived long enough for someone to notice you were missing. That takes strength most people never have to find." Sophia arrived an hour later, brought flowers the same way Maya had brought flowers 2 years ago. The cycle repeating, different victims, different rescuers, same truth. That survival required community, that one person couldn't fight a system designed to protect predators, but many people, organized and determined, could dismantle that system piece by piece. "I'm starting therapy tomorrow," Amanda said. The advocate says, "It'll take years to process what happened." "It will," Sophia agreed. "But you'll process it alive. That's what matters." 6 months later, Maya graduated from FBI training. Victim Services Specialist. Her first assignment was consulting with local police departments on domestic violence response protocols, teaching officers to recognize distress signals, to take victims seriously even when the accused has family connections, to document everything because documentation saves lives. She taught her first class in Cascade Bay, 20 officers from neighboring counties. She started with a story about a waitress who noticed something wrong and refused to look away. Jack attended the graduation, sat in the front row wearing his Iron Patriots vest, Patricia beside him, Doc and Elena and Sophia and Amanda. The family they'd built from trauma and determination. When Maya received her badge, her father cried. "Not ashamed, just proud. Your mother would be so proud," Jack said afterward. "I think she already knew. Think she was watching the whole time." The Bella Vista building sold to new owners. They reopened it as a different restaurant, different name, different menu, but the same order pad system. And all staff trained in the Pineapple Project protocol. If someone orders something impossible, something that doesn't make sense, you pay attention. You write it down. You call for help. On a Friday night, 2 years and 7 months after Sophia's rescue, a new waitress named Christina took an order at the counter. Pasta with marinara, extra garlic, and strawberries. Not strawberry sauce, strawberries, whole strawberries. Impossible. Christina wrote it down, looked at the young woman who'd called it in, saw the fear in her eyes, the way she'd whispered the word strawberries like a prayer. Christina pulled out her phone, texted the manager. The manager called the Pineapple Project hotline. Within 15 minutes, victims' advocates were mobilized. Within an hour, another woman was safe. The system worked because people had learned, because Sophia and Maya and Amanda and all the other survivors had refused to let their trauma be meaningless, because 98 bikers had shown up when the police wouldn't, because a father and daughter had found each other again through trying to save a stranger. Evil still existed. Men like Derek Whitmore and Marcus Shaw still hunted vulnerable women. Families still protected their monsters. Systems still failed. But the balance had shifted, because now there were Christinas working every restaurant. There were Marjas documenting every pattern. There were Jacks mobilizing veterans when authorities looked away. There were Sophias turning their survival into weapons against the predators who thought they could keep winning. Maya stood at the rebuilt Bella Vista on its reopening night, her father beside her, Sophia and Elena at a corner table, Amanda working as a greeter, reclaiming public spaces trauma had tried to steal, Christina behind the counter, alert and ready and trained. "Think we changed anything?" Maya asked her father. "I think we proved that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they choose to pay attention. I think we showed that evil only wins when good people decide looking away is easier than acting. I think we saved lives." Jack put his arm around his daughter. "And I think your mother is somewhere smiling because her daughter became exactly who she was meant to be. Someone who refuses to let the vulnerable suffer in silence." Maya leaned against her father's shoulder, watched the restaurant fill with Friday night customers, watched Christina take orders with careful attention, watched a community that had learned the hardest way what happens when you dismiss someone asking for help. Somewhere in America tonight, someone would whisper a code word, hoping against hope that someone was listening. And because of what happened in Cascade Bay, because of a waitress and 98 bikers and the survivor who turned her pain into purpose, someone would be listening. Someone would write it down. Someone would act. That's all it ever took. One person choosing to see what everyone else ignored. One person believing that impossible orders meant impossible danger. One person refusing to accept that this was just how things were. Be that person. Pay attention. Write it down. Make the call. Stand in the gap between a victim and the system that's failing them. Be Christina. Be Maya. Be the stranger who saves a life because you cared enough to notice something was wrong. Because here's the truth. Derek Whitmore and Marcus Shaw and every predator like them never understood. Ordinary people have power when they choose to use it. A waitress making $12.50 an hour has the power to save a life. A father estranged from his daughter has the power to mobilize an army. A survivor chained in a basement has the power to whisper a code that brings 98 motorcycles roaring to her rescue. You have that power. To dot, the only question is whether you'll use it when the moment comes. Whether you'll be the person who looks away or the person who pays attention. Whether you'll be comfortable or whether you'll be courageous. Maya Chen chose courage. And because she did, Sophia Laurent lived. Amanda Reeves lived. Countless others lived. That's the whole story. That's everything that matters. One choice, one person, one refusal to stay silent when silence meant death.